Oh, oh my gosh. There we go. That's going over there. All right, I think I've got everything lined up here now. Okay, cool. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna warm up a little bit first. I think get some scale action going, get our fingers moving around. Let's just do for this, because I mean we haven't even had a guitar lesson together for a couple weeks. Let's just do a simple G major scale, which you will find that you're quite familiar with from playing the C major scale on your ukulele. So hit your third string open with your thumb or your fingers, whatever you want. Okay. Second fret on that third string. So for people that are new to playing, when I say on the second fret, I don't actually mean physically on top of it, just right behind it. Okay. Let's do the second string open now. Open means no fingers. First fret on that second string. Reach for that third fret. First string open. Okay, now that second fret. And third fret. And so I'm holding my middle finger down because I'm going right back to it. Back to second fret. So that way, making the most effective use of my fingers. And now third fret on that second string. So, Julie, I'm not sure where you are with holding down your fingers when you're playing the scales, because I can't see you right now. But when you're playing these scales on your guitar or ukulele, hold down fingers if you know you're going back to them, just to make your movement as efficient as possible. Okay, let's do the same scale now with our thumb. Let's give our thumb a nice little workout. Okay, so third string open. Second fret. Second string open. Watch my thumb. I'm on my first fret now. See how I make a nice little circle with my thumb? Now third fret. Okay, first string open. Rather than going like that and moving my hand away, I let my fingers, now second fret, I let my thumb make a little circle and bounce right back. And let's hit that third fret now. Back down to second fret. And first string open. Third fret on that second string. Okay, now open. And second fret on the third string. And open. I feel like playing an instrument often from my perspective with ukulele and guitar anyway is know your shapes, right? Make a circle with your thumb, make a little oval kind of shape with your finger in terms of that plucking motion. There we go. Okay, so let's do a little bit of full plant warm up now with our fingers, okay? All right, so I'm going to put my thumb on my sixth string. I'm going to put my index finger on my third string, middle finger on my second string, and ring finger on my first string. And all I'm going to do right now is just pluck like this. So I don't come back to making the full plant right away. Like I've anchored my fingers like that, and that's to let them know where to be. But as I pluck, I just return them and have them hover over top of the strings. Okay, let's go move our thumb to our fifth string now. fourth string. So this isn't a really, you know, hard picking pattern. It's one that's designed really right now to just warm up your fingers. I feel like we've had a nice little quick warm up there. Fingers are moving good. All right, now let's get down to the meat of the business here. I'm going to show you how to play the D chord and move it up and down the fretboard. So we've got to do a couple things first. Let's define that D chord. And Julie, I think you know your D chord already, but for anyone that's new to it, if you've got a background in ukulele, looks like your ukulele G chord. So for the guitar D chord, I've got my middle finger on the first string, second fret, ring finger on the second string, third fret, index finger on the third string, second fret. And along with the D chord comes your D string, which is your fourth string. Okay. Now I've got a whiteboard here I want to show you, and it's just kind of a quick look at some of the note names on that second string. I'll ignore the chord progressions for now, though. All right, so the root of the D chord, the root, the note name, the name that the chord is, or the note that the chord is named after, can be found here on the second string, third fret. It can also be the fourth string, which is the D chord as well. But for our purposes right now, I want you to think about that second string note. So that's where your third finger sits. Okay, over here, I've got my some of my notes on my second string laid out. Third fret of that second string is D, so that is that guy right there. Okay. So what I want you to do right now is just go through, play these notes on the second string. Okay, I've got the C there. However, for our purposes with this particular chord, we are not going to be thinking too much about it, but let's play it. Okay, so hit the C on that first fret of your second string. I encourage you to play all of this with your ring finger so that it relates to this D chord shape. And then you've got the D on the third fret. Fifth fret for your E. Again, play it with your ring finger, okay? F on your sixth fret. Then G on your eighth fret. A on your 10th fret. B on your 12th. And if you're comfortable hitting the 13th fret on your guitar, then hit that, okay? And then go back down. And I'll play this afterwards on my guitar so that, you know, but I just want to make sure that you can do it. So B on the 12th fret, back down to A on your 10, G on your 8th, F on your 6th, E on your 5th, D on your 3rd, and go for it. Hit the C on the 1st fret. Okay, now I'm going to play that on my guitar so that you can see what's going to happen. The D chord is such a fun one to play. Okay, so I've got my C here on my 1st fret, D on my 3rd, E on my 5th, F on my 6th, G on my 8th, A on my 10th fret, B on my 12th, C on my 13th, back down to B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Let's make that D chord now. And I'm just going to pluck like this. You can strum it, pluck it. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to slide up to that E on the 5th fret and make my D chord shape. The D chord shape has now become an E. At this point, it's best not to pluck that 4th string. Just hit those top 3 strings for right now, okay? E. F is on our 6th fret. So I make my shape around that F. Let's go up to G. G is on our 8th fret with our ring finger, and then we just build that D chord shape around it. Okay. Now we're going to go up to A. A is on our 10th fret. 12th fret for B. C on our 13th fret. Be easier if I had my cutaway. Okay, back down to B on the 12th. If this is moving too slow, work some picking. 3, 2, 1, 2, just like that, okay? 10th fret for your A. And when you're doing this sort of stuff, say the chord name, A, you know, because that also relates to that note name right there. Okay, down to our G note. We'll build our G chord around that. F on our 6th fret. I've got my thumb, in case you're wondering, I've got my thumb covering these strings so they just don't ring out in sympathy with these chords that I'm playing, or these strings that I'm playing right now. E is on our 5th fret. And back to D. There's a little tiny C chord. But let's go back up to D. Now, what I've done is I've set up a chord progression where we can hit an open string with these chords and they'll sound okay. So we've got our D, so play this. Okay. And now we're gonna go up to that G, which is on the 8th fret, so let's find that. Ready? And part of the G chord is the note D, so we can play that D string. And it sounds just fine. Okay. I'm gonna go back down to D. Ah, I love that sound. Okay, so we're just going to practice that again up to G. Now, notice what I did here to change my string, my chord. You can go the other way too. You know, it's, I guess, the big thing. Okay, there we are in G on our 8th fret. Let's go back down to D. We're just practicing that distance. I always try to keep a finger in contact with a string, hey? Sometimes I'll go up like that. Sometimes, like this time, I went down like that. So I've always got a finger ready. You know, always, oh, right, we're back on D. Always got a finger touching the strings. It feels good. You know, it helps me to find where I'm going to and stops me from doing that. Okay, back up to G. I did it again. All right, so those fingers land on my 7th fret, and the root there is on my 8th fret. All right, so a lot of what we're going to be doing is just hitting like a simple 12-bar progression. Lots of 1, 4, 5 chords, okay? So in the D chord family here that we're going to be looking at, D is our 1 chord, D, E, F, G is our 4 chord, and that's what we've been hopping back and forth between. The other chord that would be coming after that would be our A chord. Okay, so let's just go through that. So we've got our D, and then we go up, finding our G on our 8th fret, make the D chord shape around that. And I already said you can use that 4th string open because the notes of the G chord are G, B, and D. So it works out. Okay, the next chord that I said we needed was our A chord, which is up 2 frets on the 10th fret, and we have an open A string, our 5th string. Okay, Okay, so now let's add that in with that A chord. Just going to pluck that. Okay. Let's go back down to G. Okay, now we're going to go back home to D. And now I'm going to stop and have a sip of coffee. I take my time with getting people to learn these movable chords. I want to make sure that you know where you can find all these other chord shapes based on that second string. Because I don't want you to just learn the 3 chord positions, right? The D, G, and A. I want you to be able to find an F, an E, you know, whatever you want. Oh, pardon me. All right, so we've got our D. Now we're going to play around, going back and forth between D and G and A. We're going to play different picking patterns with it. Okay. So the first one is just going to be a pluck, pluck. Watch this. 1, 2, and 3. Now to get that sound, my strings are hitting my frets a little bit. See that? And my nails are hitting the strings. So it almost looks like I'm knocking on a door. Okay. I will tell you, I'm knocking on the door a little bit with my nails and not my cuticles so much. I learned that when I was doing that. So I pluck, essentially smack my fingers down on the strings, and then pluck again. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. You can think about it as a chuck, kinda, but I'm just landing smack right down. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 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 It sounds kind of neat, hey? Now we're going to do it up on the G, up to our 8th fret. Okay, we'll do it there. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. A couple more times, we'll get comfy. And 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And back down to D. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Up to A. Wow! 10th fret. And then get your thumb lined up on the 5th string, and we'll do that. We'll do it a couple times up there on A. Get comfy with it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And down to G on your 8th fret. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And D. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And... All right, so things to think about when you're doing this. First step you want to do, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, A, G. Make sure you can find those notes. Looks silly, play it with your ring finger so that you can then do this. And play all those chords, or all those notes as chords. It's amazing how many chords you now know by knowing that D chord shape and knowing the names of the notes on that 2nd string. You can have so much fun with those chords. Oh. Okay, so we've got the notes, we've got that chord shape, and then the plucking. When I do that pluck, look at how loose my hand is. Like a rag. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. I used to do it like this, all tense because I was totally focused on the smack part. Just relax with it. And when I land, my fingers don't land perfect for getting on that pluck. You'll see this. 1 and 2 and 3. See how they have to come back out and get ready? 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Watch this hand because you know your D chord for sure. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, and watch it. Make sure you know what's going on. Whoops, I forgot to pluck. Or I forgot to smack. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one of my progressions, which is really simple. I wrote down 2. We're going to do the bottom one first. And I'm just going to play through it so you can hear it. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Stay on that G. 1, 2 and 3, back down to D. 1 and 2 and 3, 2 more. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Finally A, G. I think when I'm doing this, I'm probably hitting the soundboard of my guitar a little bit. Over time, the nail tapping the soundboard will damage it. But do you want your instrument to be in perfect condition forever and never have a scratch on it? Or do you want to play it and love it and enjoy it? I think about Toy Story a lot when I think about that. Toys need to be played. And I just realized when I wrote out everything, I forgot to put in a line of the D chord. So I'm just going to use my fancy eraser right here and fix this up. And what I'm going to do is hold this up so that it's in the recording. Now I don't have it written down yet, but I'll put it on the website. So just in case you forget, these little marks mean to repeat the bar before. Okay. So you can see we're doing that D. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 4 reps up to G for 4 times with the same thing, and back down to D. You don't need this to be a really mobile chord progression, like a really fast harmonic rhythm. You need to get used to the chords, right? Now I've just got the A on the 10th fret written in 1 time so that it does echo the sound of a blues progression to a certain degree. You need that tension, right? Of the 5 chord. Ah, feels so good. So A 1 time, and that's where you're going to hit that 5th string open with that. Then to G, D, D. Now, I just want to hold this up for a minute and try playing through it. And Julie, I'm looking for any, like, unmute yourself. Let me know how it's going with that the pluck, smack, pluck, or like knocking kind of.
Yeah.
Motion.
To begin with, I kept losing my spot, but when you said to leave the hand a little looser, so
yeah, it helps. Eh? Like a rag.
yeah.
How? Yeah. 1 and 2. Yeah, right on. Yeah, that's cool. That's a nice smack.
Was it?
Yeah, it's good because that sound. I mean, that's where your instrument is a percussion instrument at the same time as a harmonic instrument, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, gets me all excited when I hear that sort of stuff. It sounds so cool. So, does it make sense moving around? Like, can I hear you just play the D chord and then going up to the G? Oh yeah. Oh, that sounds so good. Yeah, right on. Oh, yes, that sounds really good. Oh, I'm so happy. So, pardon me. That's this one here. I love playing this one. It's just got such a nice relaxed feel for that. And then this one here, it's just faster, right? Like this is more the standard 12 bar blues.
Right.
kind of feel, right? I like extending it. I like really playing around with those chords and smacking them and just having fun. Just having fun with it. All right, let's talk about another picking pattern, because my thought when I did this was I thought, well, you know, sometimes it's nice to have the same chords, but we just approach them in different ways, hey? So another sip of coffee, I think, then we're going to talk about playing around with it a little bit more. All right, so let's throw some, so we've got this plucking, right? And that whole loose thing, it's so much fun to do. And I heard you do a little glissando between the D and the G. And it sounds so cool. Playing along with a group of people and having this going. 1 and 2 and 3 sounds just so neat, you know, it's fun. But let's try some other stuff. I was going to do picking, but I don't think yet. We're going to do a I think we're going to do some smacking. I want you to think about again, we're just going to hit 4/4 time, and so we've got this, and I'm just going to strum up and down with my finger. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you can strum with your thumb. When I do the up strums with my thumb, it's just a flick. It's just whatever I happen to hit. 3 and 4 and whatever you want to strum with. I'm going to strum with my finger though, just because that's the mood I'm in. Okay, so we've got 4 beats that we're hitting again. A lot of the stuff I'm doing today is just 4/4 time, just working that. So I want you to do a smack and a wipe. So I'm just flicking that index finger up, and whatever it hits on the way up is good enough. Okay, so I land, I do tap. You can tap with one finger or a few. This is what you're headed for. And my hand, again, is pretty relaxed. Again, like a rag, kind of just like whap, wipe, whap, wipe. So having that relaxed feel rather than tense is going to get you really far with both these ideas, right? This 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, or. Okay, so I know you can do your down up strums, right? Again, like for anyone that's new to this, focus on the up strums being just a gentle flick. Okay. Now we're going to do this. Down, up, smack, wipe. Down, up, smack, and then that wipe, that flick. Okay. If you happen to hit extra strings when you're doing it down, don't worry about it. So often you'll see me do this. I rest my thumb here. It's kind of handy. Sometimes I rest my thumb on the fretboard, sometimes the 6th string. I would say at this stage, I tend to rest my thumb more on my 6th string and a little bit on the, it just sits there gentle though. I'm not pushing anything down. It's just a spot. This is what we're heading for. It's going to sound like this. Now we can take the same chord progression. I would encourage you just to play around really with the D up to the G a lot right now. So listen to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 more times. Oh, sorry, you know, I should tell you, this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so that's 1 bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't it sound cool? I love that sound. So now you've got this fancy little chord whizzing up and down. It's not fancy, it's just your D chord, right? And then you've got this down, up, smack, up. And now when you do that flick, if you're doing this all with your index finger, see how that flick brings you ready to play again? Oh, look at my thumb move down to my fifth string. See, it's just kind of relaxed and mobile. So if I sit and do the whole thing, it's busy. I just whipped through it quickly to make it sound busy so you could hear that, that tapping sound. But you take it slow, and you can use that for any chord, right? Like what I'm showing you this as a movable chord shape so we can focus on learning your notes up and down that second string and seeing how you can take a chord and just move it around and have fun with it. But that strum pattern, you can go anywhere with it, and you don't have to strum all your strings when you do it. You could see that, like, I'm making a G chord, but I'm not strumming all my strings. It's okay. Have fun with it, Enjoy the balance between the harmonic sound of the chords and the percussive sound of your tapping. Ah, sounds so cool. Okay, so Julie, I got to check in. How's it feeling?
The movement of it'll take a little bit, but it's getting better.
Oh, that's awesome. So think you might
Oh,
do it again. Oh, do it all straight. Right now you're kind of swinging it. Watch. So you're like, you might find it easier to start by going, keeping them all very metrical, just straight eighth notes. Like you might want to think like a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just so it's just, yeah.
Okay.
Try it again. Yep. That's it. You got it. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I love that.
When you were playing on the D, I just wanted to break it out into rolling, rolling, rolling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Another good one to do with this is Steelers Wheels, Stuck in the Middle with You. Have you ever heard that song?
Yeah, that'd be a good one too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's so much fun to do that down, up, smack up, and I know that I do it on ukulele a lot, but guitar, oh. Lots of just strumming down, up with my index finger. It's keeps my hand light, if that makes sense, where I feel pretty mobile. I can do a lot without throwing my hand out of position. That's why you see me do that a lot, just with my index finger. So I'm always ready to play. And then there's points where I want to do a heavier sound, and that's where I'll have my thumb will get involved, or I'll use more fingers. But for a lot of this, you'll see me just sitting on that, where I'm just flicking down with my finger. Watch out though, it'll wear out your fingernail pretty good.
On my steel strings.
Oh yeah, just lacquer up those nails, Julie. Just load them up.
I use one of these, the Alaska picks, a lot of times.
Now I have not seen an Alaska pick.
Alaska, like the state.
Oh, the Alaska picks.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Okay.
work that a lot when I even when I'm playing ukulele, just to save my finger.
Yeah. Yeah, those Alaska picks. There's a company, I think it's Tapestry Music, that sells Alaska picks. Oh, now I'm going shopping. No, no, bad, Tina, bad. Don't go shopping right now. Yeah, I've got to look at getting some things like that. You know, the problem I guess I have is that I like the tone of my nails.
Yeah.
If I have about 5 layers of nail polish on them to thicken them up because they're thin, you know. And do you have thin nails too, Julie? Or
I do, yeah.
Yeah, it's a challenge, hey? My nails were amazingly long for a while there, and then I started tapping them into things, and this baby fingernail got bent backwards last night, so I was like, okay, it's time. It's time to bring him back down to a shorter level for picking. Okay, let's do something else now with these, again, just with these chords, these movable shapes, okay? We're going to Travis pick them now. Yeah, we got time to do this. All right, so let's just take a look at the shape for Travis picking on 4 strings. Okay, we'll do thumb and index finger. So on strings 4 and 1, we'll pick that. And then thumb's going to move to the 3rd string, index finger to the 2nd string. So we play together here, and then 3, 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So depending on how you feel, you can sit with 2 reps of that. We'll make one measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I'll do it a little bit slower. So together, then broken. If you're comfortable doing that already, then that's where you may want to do this. Step 1. Sorry, get my head wrapped around it. 1 and 2 and then split up the outside strings there. So you'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or for the taws and the TTs, that's always good too. Ta, T, 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 T. So it depends on how it works for you.
Well, I kind of want to use my middle finger on the 1st string.
I was going to talk about that because that's.
Is that the next step? Oh, okay.
Totally. Yep. Yeah, it starts to look really complex. I'm watching myself. I'm like, whoa, it looks busy. But yeah, middle finger on the 1st string, absolutely. And I.
Oh.
Yeah, let's hear you. No, don't play it.
Sorry.
I want to hear you. Make sure the 1st beat is still just a solid quarter note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And, yeah, 1 and, because that defines the harmony of that bar too.
So play it again for me then.
So together here.
Okay.
Together, and then everything else is broken into 8th notes. Oh, you got it. Yep. Oh my gosh, this is going to sound so pretty. I wanted to burn through that so we could get up to the A part because that's where you're going to move your thumb to the 5th string. And then hop to that 3rd string. Look at that. Just try that. So get your thumb on that 5th string and make that 5th string chord shape. So that's going to be your ring finger on your 10th fret. Then make the D shape around that. So thumb on the 5th string. How does that feel? Getting the thumb over to the 5.
So when I do that, I want to leave my thumb up on the 5th and use the 3 fingers for the other 3 strings.
If it works for you, do it. I tend to like doing this. So I keep my thumb bouncing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I think I need to practice more, is getting that thumb movement.
Yep. Playing the scales helps,
Okay.
because it keeps your thumb a bit more mobile. With these sorts of picking patterns, it's nice to have the fingering kind of glued into one spot. Your chord shape changes. This hand gets busy, but if this hand keeps that same picking pattern, then it's nice, because then you don't have to worry about this hand. Yeah. Right? Like I can move all around and I know what's going on. So although there's nothing wrong with playing it like that, as long as you know what you're doing there, it's okay. It's just, for me, that's what I like. I like the mobility of that thumb, because I know it does apply in other cases too. Like that one there, I'm moving my thumb like that. Well, that sounds cool. I think it would be good for you to work that.
Yeah, excuse me. I think it's because I'm used to the ukulele with the 4 strings, so your thumb doesn't necessarily do all that bouncing.
I know, right? The thumb has to get more active. Yeah. I would encourage you to try it. Yeah. So that whole thing, Travis picking with that chord progression again, it's just a fun way to play around with it. So you're using your middle finger here. Let's try going through it nice and slow. I'll call out the chords as we move them, okay? So we'll be on D 4 times. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and again. 2 more times. Last one. Up to 8th fret for G. Again. 2 more reps of that. Last one. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and D. And again. Oh no, I've lost count. We'll call this one our last one. Up to 10th fret for A. G. I slowed down there so we could take our time with that A, and then D. Now, something I did back when we were like, I did a slide with the whole chord, and I didn't show you what I did there, so I want to just backtrack way back and do that. So when I did that, I made my D chord on my 2nd fret. I plucked, Just those 3 strings? Yeah, I think it was just the 3 strings I did. And I slid everything up. Kept the pressure down. And glided myself up to that next fret. So it can be a little bit tricky doing all those fingers as a slide. But it sure sounds cool. So that's a fun way to end a song too, hey? Like if you're doing a lot of plucking or... That can be a lot of fun. So you see when I landed there, when I slid, look at how far away my ring finger was from the fret. So we're not perfect every time, but you can also do micro adjustments as you get up there. So that would be another super nifty little thing to add into strumming and picking, is a little slide. But I think we should play around with that Travis picking a bit more. I'm kind of peppering you with a whole bunch of stuff, seasoning up your brain with different options. So I want to know how it felt for you doing this particular motion, way up here with the A chord, down to G. So I'm checking in with you, Julie. How did that part feel?
I just had to concentrate on making sure my thumb hit the 4th string when I got to the G.
Yes.
From the A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where like knowing the chord shapes and just being able to watch that hand,
yeah,
really pays off. Yeah. But were you able to maintain this version of the Travis picking pattern, like keep the fingers bouncing like that?
yeah, pretty much. I
Cool.
was watching my hand most of the time, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, good. Right. How about this slidey thing? Yeah. Right on. We use that in one of my ukulele groups for... Yeah.
Yeah, I do it on the ukulele quite a bit, but
Yeah.
again, these strings are a little harder on my fingers. They stay dented for about 2 hours after I play.
Just puff them back up,
Yeah.
squeeze them a little bit, right? The we do that as an end for Worried Man Blues in one of my groups. We just hit that, and we've got like train whistle sounds and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's fun to do that, hey? Let's talk about adding a sus chord in now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. So let's backtrack back just to the D. Okay. And we're going to turn it into a D sus4 just by tossing in a baby finger there. Okay. So I'm keeping my middle finger down. I'm just doing this. I've got my D, regular D. Just pluck that. And then put that baby finger down. And then back to D. I'm going to try to be really obvious with that baby finger, lifting it up when I'm not making that sus chord. So sus4, here's our D, just our note D, D, E, F, G. We're adding in a G into our D chord. That sounds kind of neat, hey? So to break down how you could toss in a sus chord with your finger picking, you want to add a little bit of color in there. That sound anticipates a G chord, really. So what you could do is you've got 4 bars of D, okay? The 4th bar, we'll turn it into a D sus4. How about that? And that will anticipate the movement, that harmony. Let me play it for you. So I'll just do the Travis picking again. 2, 3, 4. Just a way to add a little bit of a warm color into your playing. So let's do that now. We'll do D, 3 bars of D, 1 bar of a sus4. Then we'll just go up and we'll play that G. And then listen to this. You can do a sus4 on the G. great sound. I want you to play around with that, you know, just have fun with those sus chords. When you're doing the D as an open chord, you can take off that middle finger and it makes a D sus 2. Okay, so let's just backtrack onto that D for a minute. Let's just play a D. Just pluck the 4 strings. Ah! D. Baby finger goes down. And I just keep my middle finger down because I'm going back to a D. You don't always, but I'm doing that there. So D sus 4. Back to a D. D sus 2. And that's with the first string open is what I'm doing there. So a sus 2, D, E. I'm adding the note E in, and then back to D. It gives you lots of options for you can really play around with colors with these chords. But I digress as I normally do. Let's just focus on the sus 4. Okay, so we'll Travis pick 3 times on D, and then 1 time on D sus 4, and then just move up to the G. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and again. Here comes that sus 4, baby fingers down. Up to G, on that 8th fret. Let's do a sus 4 now, up on that G. Then go back to normal G. Head back down to D. D sus 4. Back to D. Okay, let's head up to that A. G. D. So the sus 4, I mean, you can toss it in for color, toss it in to anticipate the next chord that's coming. Whatever feels right to you, right? Now you can also put it down and take it off in the middle of a picking pattern too, but that becomes a bit trickier. See what I did there? The first part of that picking pattern. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and that can be a lot of fun to do, but I would encourage you just to practice changing back and forth between the 2 chords at the beginning of each bar to get the hang of that. That way you're not thinking about too many things at once, but you can just do you see what I did there? I reached my baby finger up to the 10th fret of the first string just to see how that would sound. Travis picking is so much fun. And just by doing these little bits or experiment, right? See what sounds good. I can't reach up there. Oh, that was just like, I just got very busy with that picking right there. I really like Travis picking. I find that it gives me so much color in my playing when I'm accompanying people. It just sounds so neat. Julie, do you do Travis picking on your ukulele?
Occasionally I try to, yeah.
Yeah. Good. That I went like off the rails with adding a bunch of stuff in there. But the big step, really, like get the Travis picking down with that right hand. And then once that hand knows what it's doing, that's when you can play with those chords, because you're not thinking about both hands at the same time. You know, otherwise it just becomes too much.
Is Travis picking always start with the pinch, or
No.
no? I'm sure there's lots of other variations.
There's so many. There's so many. You'll see this, like anytime you're alternating, just that, or really, you could start just with that, or yeah, there's variation on top of variation.
The first one we did is kind of what I've done on my ukulele.
Yep. Just that one like that, you mean?
No, just the
Oh yeah.
Let me get. So that's kind of what I've done on the ukulele.
Yeah. And then, you know, you just, once you get comfortable with that, then add another pattern in, right? So that you can just add more and more into your toolbox, right? I really like that one. The reason why I like it though is because I establish the sound of the chord in that first bar, because it just rings out for a whole beat. 1, 2, 3. I like that sound where it's like wham. You know, this is the chord we're on. But it's personal preference too, right? And then what works out with the song that you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is just hold up that whiteboard one more time, so it's just right at the end of this. And what I did, because I didn't actually write down anything for the sus chord, I drew a circle there. Okay, so that's the finger that I was adding in for the sus chord. And I know with you playing ukulele, you know, I think you probably know your G sus, or your G sus chord, right?
Yep.
So it's the same principle, but this is where often when I do these sus chords, I make my main chord shape, and then I just put my baby finger down there and still maintain that main chord shape because I'm coming back to it. Yeah. But this, you know, getting to know all this gives you so much freedom with that chord. Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun. All right, so that's up there now. It's immortalized a couple of times on that video. All right.